With just a few supplies and tools, you can make a simple necklace in just minutes. This is a design that I've been making for years. When I worked at the bead shop, this was kind of like our go-to design when we found a beautiful teardrop bead that we just wanted like an everyday necklace. And so I make this design all the time. It's what I make for my friends, my family. It's beautiful, it's simple, and it works with really any teardrop top drilled bead. Okay, so let's go over the tools and supplies we're going to use today. We're going to need a top drilled teardrop bead. This is tanzanite, but you can use any that you might have. And depending on that bead, you're going to need either 24 gauge wire or 26 gauge wire. You're going to need some chain. This is a finished one, but whatever chain you prefer, you can use. You're going to need a round nose plier, tweezer nose plier, flush cutter, and you might want to have a ruler on hand as well. The first step is going to be deciding how long you want your necklace to be. What I normally will do is if I have a finished chain like this, I will cut it in the middle, directly opposite from the clasp. And literally I will hold it on my neck and decide where I want it to be. Most people would want like an 18 or 16 or 20, but you can just kind of measure it on yourself and keep in mind the bead that you're using as well. So I feel like this is good. So now I'm going to measure it, and that came out to be 8 inches. So I know this is going to be about a 16-inch necklace, which is what I normally is the range I make them, but sometimes I just like to hold it up to my neck and see for myself there. So I'm going to cut off the excess chain, 8 inches, and then I'll just measure it down on the other side. That off. And I'm going to save that little chain for maybe a matching pair of earrings or something like that. All right, so now we can grab our bead and our wire, and I am going to be using 26 gauge. I like to use about 5 inches of wire for this, so you don't need much. This is going to be a pretty dainty little necklace, so you don't need much wire. And then grab your round nose plier. And we're going to be working at the very tip of it because we want our loops to be really small. And so grab your wire about 2 inches in, and you're going to push it away from you 90 degrees and then readjust and roll it back to create a little loop, just like a classic jewelry making loop. And then you're going to slide it on to one side of the chain. And a little secret I like to do is with my tweezer nose plier, I like to gently, let me see if I can do this without getting too high, gently squeeze that loop so that it's almost the same size as the chain. Whatever chain you're using, make that loop the same size so that it just seamlessly flows into this design. But that is good for me today. I think any smaller might break it. Okay, so with your tweezer nose plier, you're gonna grab that loop gently and just make 1 to 2 wraps. And then before trimming it, I usually go to the other side and go ahead and do that. All right, so on the other side, we're gonna grab the wire with our round nose right beside the bead. Maybe leave a little bit of a gap, but get pretty close to the bead, and make sure you're making your loop the same direction you made the first one. Push it 90 degrees away from you. Readjust just beyond the bend and roll it back. Bring that tail down and around. And there's our second loop. So next we're going to grab the other end of our chain and put it on our loop. Okay, and then we're going to squeeze it just a little bit to make it a little smaller. And then grab the loop with your tweezer nose and make a little coil. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a look at it and see what's going on. And see if I need to add any more wraps on one side or the other. And also I want to make sure I end both of them on the same side. I think I'm good though. I'm just going to bring this one down and then trim both of these with the flat side of my flush cutter. And then with that tweezer nose plier, I'm going to go back in and make sure that they are tucked in. And that's it. Okay, so let's go back over the tools and supplies we used for this necklace. We used our top drilled teardrop bead and our chain. We've got our 26 gauge and 24 gauge wire. We've got our tweezer nose plier, round nose plier, flush cutter, and you might need a ruler on hand. If you need any of the tools or supplies we used today, check out the links in the description below. And while you're there, let us know in the comments what your favorite gemstone is. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. See you guys next time.